Hey everybody, I'm totally late, but better late than never. Okay, so it's for the mutable signs, and the description before I forgot to put Gemini in there, so sorry. But I noticed it after I posted it, and then I couldn't fix it, so I just had to go for what it was. The lighting's probably a lot different now because it's later. But I want to still get it in. All right, so let's start with Pisces. Let's see what's going on here. And I hope the sound works out fine. I didn't really test anything. This is all last minute. It's classic me. All right, so I'm just using mostly 3 decks. I do have some oracles that I feel I'll maybe use, maybe if I need to towards the end. But let's just go tarot. And I'm just going to do a Celtic cross, actually, because I did 5 cards last time. And last time was my first one, and it was super long. So I kind of want to just do, one type of sign. I'll start with the mutables, and then I'll go into the fixed signs maybe tomorrow. And then after that, I'll go into into the cardinal signs. Okay, and astrology-wise, I think everybody, for that full moon on Scorpio, that was May 1st, Friday. So that's the karmic clearing of all those inner emotions that have been going on, especially with the Uranus going through Taurus, which would have blown up a lot, especially the fixed signs, and Taurus, the foundation of their, the way that they live. I heard... I was at a soccer game this weekend, and I heard a person that was born the beginning of May talking about how they had to leave their home, which is classic Uranus and Taurus, and I'm just listening to the person, I'm knowing the astrology, and I think that they realize, they're like, oh yeah, I have to live in a trailer now for a little while. And I'm like, that's classic, like your whole home life was totally disturbed. But it was actually, I think they were moving, so they were meaning to have it change, but they weren't expecting it that dramatically, and that's classic Uranus. So luckily for the Taurus gang and fixed signs in general, a lot of that sudden upheaval is going to be ending now. Things are going to start smoothing out. But Uranus is going into Gemini, which means, so Gemini is vocal and definitely about communicating both sides, but also revealing new technologies and the way the mind works with communicating. So with Uranus going into Gemini, what that's going to be is like, so Uranus is like drastic change, right? So drastic revelations and information are now going to start coming out this month. So that's very important to kind of realize. I'm just seeing here, there's like a slow connection. Excuse my fat thumb there. 1 second. I'm just going to see if I can beef that up. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's keep going. All right, so let's start with Pisces. Let's start with my Robin Wood deck. And these are just general readings. If you haven't gotten a reading with me, I'm still going to offer that free first reading. And some people have taken advantage of it, which is great, and suggested other people, which is cool. And I'll do it as long as I can. If I start getting like a lot of work to do through that, then I just have to like schedule out more. But I definitely want to keep offering that going forward. So basically, go to Mad Hermit Tarot page. That's on Facebook. That's a separate page because I don't have 6 months or 100 subscribers yet. I think I only have like 55 in a few months. So we'll get there. Well, I'll be able to do the lives on there, but I'll do it on my personal page for now. All right, so let's get started. Celtic Cross, no reversal, less divinely inspired. Thank you so much, Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides, and dimensional being. This reading is for Pisces for May, at least the first half of May, but if it goes to the end of the month, the energy goes to the end of the month. And I'll try to see if I can get other readings in too later in the month. Pisces. What's going on in Pisces' life? Celtic Cross, no reversal, divine inspired. What's covering Pisces at this time? Thank you so much, Spirit. Covering card. High Priestess. Okay, good. I'll explain this a little bit. I'm just going to go off a little bit. Okay, and what's that cross by spirit? Thanks so much. No reversal. One is right. This one. What's a cross? Okay, so this makes really good sense, especially with Pisces is going through, which is basically a clearing of their social circles, their love circles, a check in all those areas, and basically it's kind of like a deep transformation with the High Priestess. So this is Major Arcana, which is basically saying that it's fated for you. And look at that full moon too in the back up here. It's fated for you, and this is kind of like the end of the line of all that dramatic upheaval of the past, oh geez, up to like 16 years, and the restructuring of yourself emotionally and how you actually face the world going forward. And so the inside of you has been cleared. So you'll notice that you're emotionally, the way that you approach things, you're going to have a higher stamina again, but at the same time, you're going to have much better boundaries, meaning that you can go into relationships again, but this first sign that you get that something isn't right, you're going to want to cut people off quick. It's going to be like if you're trying to date somebody and they say like the wrong word, you're like, done. You know, you just like hit that that X button on the dating or whatever like that. It's like, you know, one red flag and they're gone. So it's going to be like important for you to actually take your time in this process now, because you do want to, you know, kind of bring emotion back into your life. And what's crossing is the Six of Cups, which is basically, I think that could be soulmate love, but it's also the inner child here. And this is kind of you protecting the inner child and giving that love back and forth, meaning the love for you has to be genuine going forward. And that being the Six of Cups, which I believe is the Scorpio card, is the Scorpio water sign card in this, meaning it's like a very deep love, and it comes from deep within, and it's the inner child, and it's you protecting the inner child, you reforming that relationship with the inner child based on love. Okay, yeah, and the Seven of Cups is right underneath it too, so that's really good. That means that's showing that your like emotional life is going to be progressing during this month. I have heard, and this is kind of like my like B-movie astrology kind of thing, where I'm not really an astrologer, but I do listen a lot, especially for my signs, and I am a Pisces sun and Mercury, 8th house sun, and basically for Pisces going forward, there is going to be more love opportunities, actually into 27 as well. So between now, starting this May, going into 27, you could meet someone that you know, have a long-standing relationship with, or the one that you marry, if you're into that. All right, what's beneath right now? So what's at the foundation for Pisces? Thank you so much. Okay. So the foundation is confidence. Okay, so notice we have inner calm in the beginning. Now the foundation is going to be built on confidence. Basically what this says to me too is that because of the sign has gone through major transformation, basically blowing up their world, is that they're able to like now recreate their world in a very confident way using source and in a passionate way. So what's boiling up at the foundation right now is passion in order to get out there and have more emotional relationships. That's good. That means things are working again. I mean, you know, the heart is working again, and like the ability to go out. Maybe it's the springtime that, you know, is now for Pisces in particular, you know, the worst is over for sure. Time to get out. What's in the recent past for Pisces? Thank you so much, Spirit. Okay. So the recent past was basically, so this is a card, generally, I mean, I'm going to like sound like a professor in the 90s right now and say the sexy, the sexy definition of this card right now is the trendy one, which is to be like deception and people cheating on you and treating you terribly. Well, that's in the past. But this is also a card that it shows you through that deception and basically what was gained on you. Okay, gained. how you were gamed. You now learned, because you went through it, where those red flags are. You've at least gone an extra cycle in a relationship that you shouldn't have. And so what this is saying is that that time of learning about being deceived and all the different ways that people would deceive you has actually built you up into being more of a wise person. And the thing I like to talk to clients about in this circumstance is that you were taught this in order to actually better your relationships going forward. So it wasn't a punishment that you went through that. But at the same time now, you're actually able to set up a boundary where a partner who might test you in the beginning, not being totally deceptive, but maybe testing your boundaries in order to see if they're safe with you, you'll pass those tests because you won't basically take the bait and be put into like a category of someone who is not worth the commitment. Maybe worth the good time, but not the long time. But a person is going to see your respect for yourself and is actually going to then invest more into you. So that's all good. Okay. And also the past, too, is you being a little disappointed under the tree there, looking at the Three of Cups and not having any fun. But we don't see coming. There is love connections underneath here. So keep that in mind. I do see some possibility, and I've been seeing in other readings too, about someone in the past coming back to kind of test you again. So keep your eyes open for that. Realize if you do go back with them, even if it is for a good time. I don't know why this is sounding more of like a relationship reading. I mean, maybe it's a former employer coming back too, but with all the cups here, the cups that I'm seeing in the other cards too with the High Priestess, I'm kind of getting that it's an emotional thing. An old lover or an ex, even friend, may come back to test you. So Spirit is always testing to see if you learn the lesson. They're going to throw the final boss at you, and then if you pass that, they're going to like follow up with someone else to see if you really meant it in that growth. So I'm kind of sensing that here. So kind of being aware for that. Again, just if you want to go for another round, that's fine. But just realize, keep your eyes open and don't devote all your energy. Because then you're committing to something and showing Spirit that you're not ready for the better. All right, what's crowning right now for Pisces? Thank you so much, Spirit. Five of Cups. All right, so again, this is another Scorpio card too. So just be aware. So let's see. Yeah, so this is another Scorpio card. So if there's a Scorpio in your life, or if you have Scorpio placements, this reading is tying close to you. But do you see how the person's looking at the cups there that's spilled? And it could be a test where you have to realize that even if you had that old person come back, that it's just not going to feel the same. And that's one of the things about this card is that it's not that he's really bummed out that the wine is all over the ground there. It's that he lost his joy for drinking it. Like, even if he was able to scoop it up and start drinking it, he still won't get that same initial, feeling out of it. So he's lamenting that. But the thing he has to realize is that there's two cups behind him, meaning that basically you have everything within you that you need to go forward. And that if you just turn around and grab those two cups, there's actually a castle in the background that's easy to get there. But you have to let go the joys of the past. And that's very hard for some people, Okay. All right, cool. All right. And I do see that someone says that they are Scorpio. So I'm going to get Scorpios tomorrow, but check your chart to see if you have other placements that are in like Pisces right now. I'm doing the Pisces reading right now. But if you're creeping on a Pisces, then this reading is for you if you're a cross watcher. All right, what's in the near future then? Spirit, thank you so much. This is for Pisces, for May. All right, so now we did kind of like the setup where you're like emotionally ready and you're going back out there. There may be people from the past coming back in to test you again, but you're protecting your inner child and actually setting up boundaries, and it's good because you're starting to get that passionate fire again, which is the Queen of Wands, which is the big boss coming into the room with the confidence and the passion, and looking good too. All right, what's in the near future, Spirit? Pisces. There's that card again. So this is love. So if you're in a connection right now, you're going to actually boost that love feeling going forward. And notice how, and this is kind of like a new way of loving. So if you're in the beginning of a connection, this is really good, saying that you're kind of moving on from the recklessness of the past and how you kind of left your feelings unprotected and going into the future. So what's really cool with the synchronicity right now is you see the 2 cups here, and then go to the 2 of cups in the future, meaning you are going to decide to leave the past that wasn't working behind and have a new beginning here, which is great. Drinking the coffee. I'm rolling the dice though because it's kind of late, so I'll probably up definitely finishing the other readings, and we'll do some clarification too to find out what's going on. All right, self, spirit, angels, ancestors, guides, and dimensional beings. What's the strength here for the Pisces gang? Justice, karma. So that cosmic beatdown that you've been taking for the last 16 years, at least I know. I think it's like since 2011, since you started taking a lot of risk in 2007, 2008, and then got to a point where it was like accelerated during 2011, that everything just kind of crumbled in your hands. Everything you tried to like build, that was teaching you the strength in order to kind of, because when spirit gives us a cosmic beatdown like that, basically it's preparing you for leveling up, because if he gave you all that to begin with, you just freak out and just lose it all. So right now you're still standing, you're still here. That means that you can accept the blessings that are coming, and that's justice coming in. So hold tight. And there's an Ace of Wands here, and again, that's the Passion card with an Ace of Pentacles underneath this side. So what that is telling me, and also at the Queen of Wands foundation, is that you're going to have a passion again as the spring hits and that energy starts to solidify. You're going to have a passion again, particularly in business, which is that Ace of Pentacles, but also in love. Just a love for the game again, wanting to get back out there and try it again. Instead of being like, oh my God, again. All right, what does Pisces not see coming, Spirit? Yeah, that person's coming back. There's some like defeat that you suffered, and it's going to be like right in your face. So these are tests, and I know myself, like you're probably like interacting with people that are classic copies of things that have challenged you in the past, like say from that 2011 to 2018 or 19 time, there were certain people, especially in the business world, that could have like really tested your strength of kind of like not telling them off, or standing your ground and not leaving a job or something like that. So you're getting that last minute test, and it's okay if you do it clumsily. I don't know if that's a word, but if you do it, all the universe is asking you to do is to stand your ground. That's all. You don't have to be eloquent. You don't even have to say anything at all. Just don't run away. Just accept what it is and learn that lesson going forward. But it is going to challenge you again, because the thing you have to realize is that this person that's winning right here was these two people that lost in the past. They just took the losses and then learned how to succeed in the future. So you're going to be directly challenged. Now, for some reason, it's showing that this person, let me put this down really quick. This person's positioned right here, and it's kind of looking at the Two of Cups right there. So this could be in love too, where inside of your mind could be challenging you, playing tricks. So just remember that you're fine alone, and you're fine with someone else, and not to basically try to adjust yourself for ghosts or what you think is going on in someone else's mind. Basically play your own game is what this is saying. Be true to yourself. If you have to be alone again, you can be. It's better than being with something that's fake. All right, what is the advice for Pisces? Yeah. We saw this before too, the Fool, which is basically starting anew, okay? So something like, and the Fool is an April card, like April's Fools. What that means is the beginning of the new year. So you may have felt this new energy of like, it's just got to be new. I got to challenge myself with something different. And that's the advice is to basically do something different. But if you're stuck in something that you can't get out of, find a new perspective in it. You know, what is that new perspective of what you're doing? Maybe it's a different way of looking at your job or looking at your relationship. Okay? But your mind is going to start be working with you because the Six of Swords is here, which is great, which goes against that Five of Swords. So after you basically don't like feed the beast, if there's negativity coming towards you, you're going to start to get mental clarity. It just goes with that last test. It's kind of like you're right there, the new beginning. You're going to get a flashback that's going to come in and kind of test you, so don't fail it. Or if you do fail it, just realize what you're doing and start again. The energy is going to pick you up really quick. So even if you say, you know, you go out with that person again or whatever you do and you're like, oh, why did I do that? Just start over again quickly and kind of the energy will be right there. So you're not going to lose a lot of time because those cycles are wrapped up anyways. You can't repeat a contract if it's done. You know, there's so, you know, we can recreate something with somebody else if it's like the old relationship just because we're trying to bring that back. There's a famous movie scene where I'm not going to mention the director because he turned out to be a real scumbag, but it's I think it's like a 70s 80s movie. But so he goes with his girlfriend out to the beach and you probably maybe seen this movie, but there's basically they're trying to eat lobsters, right? And the lobsters get out and he's chasing it with butter and it's this funny scene, right? But he tries to do it with another girl like a couple months after, right? And instead of the girl kind of like, you know, playing along and like, you know, trying to chase the lobsters and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, she's just like, why don't you just pick it up? She's smoking a cigarette in the kitchen. And basically that's the kind of thing. You can't repeat the past, you know, with someone else. You are being forced to do it as a new person, as a new perspective, because you are a new person. You can't go back to who you were because it's comfortable. Spirit is saying that it's not going to work. You actually have to do things differently. You have to ask different questions. You have to stand up for yourself in a different way. I'm not sure if that translates because it's late right now about that movie scene and stuff, but it's so true in life. There's this. It's funny because my daughter listens to Olivia Rodrigo, and there's that song too where she's always complaining that the boyfriend's, you know, playing the Billy Joel songs and stuff like that with a new girlfriend and stuff. But it kind of reminds me of that. You got to pick new songs. All right, what's the outcome? At least I'm having fun. All right, what's the outcome here? All right. Three of Pentacles. So this is the build card. So this is great. What this is, and this is the Six of Pentacles here, which is showing me, and you got the King of Swords. So you're going to control your mind. You're going to look into the future, and you're going to start building a new thing that's going to be very successful. And there is a great potential for new love to come in. You cannot recreate the past with an old love. If it's stale, it's done. If that person has miraculously changed, which may happen, but more often than not they don't. But if it does happen, then they'd have to be a totally different person inside. But if they do that and you have a different way of starting the relationship, then cool. But if you find yourself getting into the old patterns or doing the old things or talking about old stories, stuff like that, it's just not going to work. Let's drop some cards. All right, so I'm going to clarify really quick. I want to find out what that Six of Cups is. I have this thing when I do a Celtic cross where I kind of go like directly across just for clarification, like into like the future stuff mostly. But definitely, if you got a Scorpio in your past, they may be lurking around. But you know, Scorpios do dramatically change too. They do transform, so they may be a new person. All right, what's the Six of Cups here for a Spirit in Pisces crossing? All right, so the Hangman's here, which is your card. So it's your power card. So basically it's saying to pay attention to basically protecting that inner child with your emotional relationships going forward. All right, defend yourself. Don't give in just because you're tired of being alone. It's better to be sovereign and to be alone than to be with someone who disrespects you. Why is the Two of Cups here, Spirit? And again, see it from a new perspective. That's what the Hangman does. He hangs upside down in order to see things differently, seeing it from an upside down position, a new way. So look at yourself emotionally in a new way and connect with someone emotionally in a new way. Why is Two of Cups here, Spirit? Okay, Two of Wands. And I did see the Ten of Cups in the background, and I do see Death underneath it, and that Fool again, too. So basically, I'm seeing major transformation here and a crossroads where you have to decide whether to stay with the old, because he's in the castle right now, and he's got the world in his hands, meaning he's gone around the world. I mean, you've kind of seen the layout of your life and like what people are good for you and what's bad for you. And now you have to decide whether you're going to stay in that castle that you've built or venture out to something new. Everything's pointing out that you should go new. Why is the Five of Swords here? I may be talking a little bit faster, but I kind of want to get these in without going too long. Last video is like 2 hours. Alright, why is the Five of Swords here, Spirit? King of Swords. So that's actively you controlling your mind and not getting psyched out about something new. And like, basically if it's like really good or if you just feel really good, some people who feel really good have the tendency to then feel guilty about it or to self-sabotage it, which is the Five of Swords card too. So basically it's the way that you combat that is by having gratitude about how you feel, but then asking Spirit for more. Don't just settle for that feeling and think that that's tops. Actually ask for more. You have to expand. There's a limitless amount of energy and abundance in this world. Like we have this social framework or this social conditioning where we think there's only so much money or there's only so much oil or food or whatever. This is basically, I mean, you have to think about it now because things are really weird out there, that this is like a huge matrix that is driven by our thought just as much as it's driven by the physical. Okay? And we're kind of seeing that more and more. It's how we think about things, our perspective. So if you change your perspective into abundance, then you start to manifest more. I know that sounds all new agey and all that stuff, and I really haven't talked about manifestation. But it really starts with your ability to be open to abundance. Because some people are just naturally closed off by it. You have to think it to be it first. You know, they say like if you're like shooting hoops in your mind, you do better. You know, if you practice it in your mind, that's because what you think becomes your reality. You move the way that you think. If you're timid, then you're going to move timidly. You know, and you're not going to be able to get those things. So don't think that way. Who cares at this point, really? I mean, seriously, just go for it. All right, why is the Fool here, Spirit? Okay, the Fool here is like, so this is saying basically your advice is to do something new, but don't be afraid to be on your own. Okay, the Nine of Pentacles here, she's alone in her garden. It's pre-Empress energy, meaning she attracts because she's really good at what she does and she has this confidence where she has enough. She has abundance where she can keep 6 pentacles and give away 3. And that's not money-wise. Like, oh, I don't have any money. That's not what this is about. It's about like your time and your energy. You're able to like bring that out because you're okay with being alone to recharge your energy to give to others in between. You're not just exhausting yourself. You have a boundary now where you say, well, that's enough. I need to rest. Or you need to give back or you need to leave. You know, those types of things. And that's how she controls her energy. And that's how you'll bring more love to you as well. And there's the Empress too. So this is all, stick with your rules and you're going to do really well. Your boundaries are your rules. How people treat you. Because you're going to be okay with being alone. You've been that way. So it doesn't matter at this point. Alright, Three of Pentacles Spirit for the end. Okay. So that's the Hermit card. Which is great because it's Virgo energy, which is what you were supposed to learn while the North Node has been in our sign for like 2 years, which is basically us kind of separating from the pack and getting rid of all those relationships in our lives that don't serve us anymore. We may have lost a lot of friends or family and things of that nature because we had to basically inventory our emotions and give them out judiciously, right, to those people that deserve it, so we have enough for ourselves. So we should have learned that. And since we've learned that, now we've become the Hermit, which is the wise teacher. But the Hermit card is also, I believe it's a Virgo card, which was also in the South Node while we were in the North Node, which is what we had to learn, which is to be basically to control our thought, our emotions. And then what happens is when we do that, we actually get the healing through this card, which is the Star. Meaning this card is like a master internal surgeon going through us now and rebuilding us. Kind of like how this card is being rebuilt. The Three of Pentacles is rebuilding the temple. I think the temple is us, is our body, and it's like a Christian theme too. But basically, we've healed ourselves, so we rebuilt our avatar here, so now we can go back out and explore, but with new boundaries. Okay, that's a really good reading. And I see the Three of Cups here after, which is the antithesis, that's a big word, of the Five of Cups, these 3 cups being spilt, the new 3 cups are being formed, which is your new joy. So basically do some new joy, things that are new, that it's going to bring you joy. And the Empress is underneath. So you're putting out the vibe, which is a confident vibe, which is going to bring things to you. All right, that's Pisces. That's good. That's good. That shows that you've healed. You're protecting your inner child. And as you go forward, there's going to be love opportunities. But watch out for some of those deceptive people that may be like from your past. Now, I don't know if I'm just getting these cards straight. I've noticed, I'm a big like kind of dream. I have dreams that come true, but I also have dreams where I'll dream of like people from like 20 years ago, and I'm like, I'm not going to see them again. And I don't see exactly them, but I see or I meet someone who's just like them. I don't know if you've had that situation happen with you too. I mean, they smell the same, they dress the same, they kind of have the same expressions. That's because Spirit can't send the exact same person all the time. They may be busy or whatnot, but they're going to send another person that's just like them to teach you that lesson again. So be aware, if you're seeing some of those old dreams, or people from your past in those dreams, be aware that you may not see that person, but you're going to meet someone just like them to actually review that lesson with you. It's freaky because it could be a family member. Like, these aren't just romantic situations. It could be a boss, and you get a different angle of that, person, of what they're doing or going through. Or just because you're stronger now, you're gonna treat the situation different. All right, so let's go from Pisces to Virgo. I guess we'll go to Virgo. All right, Virgo. This is for May. Let's stay with Celtic Cross, no reversal, divine inspired. There's so much spirit. Let's go now with Virgo in May. Now, this is for Sun, Moon, Rising, and if you're into this just for love, Venus is a good sign to look at. So get your free chart. I mean, you can Google up a free chart. You just have to know your birth time and location. And then you can find out like where Virgo is on your chart, and that's how this will affect you. Particularly. But also, the one rule too is that there is no rules, meaning that you're here for a reason. If you're hanging out listening to this, then in any sign there could be something that basically is calling out to you. And sometimes it's the opposite sign that you need to learn of in this life. So if you're a Pisces, you need to learn how to be more of a Virgo while being a Pisces at the same time anyway, because that's the opposite sign. That's the trick about astrology I've recently been learning, is that it's not just your sign of who you are and understanding like your quirks and stuff like that, but it's like who you're meant to be. So you're always meant to be more of a well-rounded person, you know, having both angles to the situation. So if you're a Pisces, it's actually very beneficial if you take on some Virgo tendencies. It's not all of them. All right, what's covering for Virgo? No reversal, divine inspired spirit. Thank you so much. Angels, ancestors, guides, and dimensional beings. What's covering for Virgo? Okay, Virgo, 9 of Cups. So you may be thinking that now there's two alternative versions to this meaning. It could be that basically he's like got all the cups and he's all smug, you know, he's got them all like racked up here, and maybe he's had them all, that's why he's all bloated. But it's also, there's an alternative theory on this where he's got his wish, which is all those cups, or his wish is actually to give those cups to who he feels deserves them. Okay, and that's why he's kind of got his hands crossed here, because like, do you deserve my cups? And Virgo's been going through it too a lot. A lot of the mutable signs went through it recently, especially when Saturn was in Pisces for the last, I think it was like 3.5 years or something like that, which basically had to teach you how to give out your emotions to who that deserves it. Okay, so maybe you're feeling more confident that way now. All right, what's crossing right now for Virgo? It's crossing. The Emperor. This is like a very Virgo card too, because you know Virgos can really be like, they take charge, you know, just like the Emperor would. They can be very forceful, you know, in a good way, but also in a kind of, you know, in a kind of really defensive way, which the Emperor can be. But this is the positive part of the card, but it's in a challenge position too. So it could be like, you know, Virgo, you know, give out your love judiciously, but be nice about it. Because you're going to have like this drive, and this is actually the Aries card here, which says also that it could have started in April, where you're starting to get the motivation now to give your love out and to actually still protect it. So the Emperor it's masculine, and I'm not talking about, you know, I'm not talking about genitalia here. I'm just talking about the feeling of like going out and being, you know, more direct with something. So this is great for you to basically, you know, own your emotions and to get back out there. And I see the 3 of Swords underneath reversed, which to me, and I say divinely inspired if I take reversals. So it's just saying to me that your heart is healing right now and you're ready to get back out there. And you're actually getting a little frisky too. Look at that Ace of Wands. But that's also like, that's also being inspired, you know, not just in the gutter, but also, you know, being inspired to start new things, you know, take command again, because, you know, basically you've been under like kind of like a psychedelic nightmare, especially for the last 2 years, with Pisces being much influence, where it's like Pisces had to learn how to be Virgo, and Virgo had to be more like Pisces, or like have that forced upon them, which could have been a lot. But you're out of the woods right now, which is good. I'm getting there. All right, what's underneath at the foundation for Virgo Spirit? Thank you so much. Page of Wands. And again, for exploring too. So this is really good for exploring for Virgo. That's great. Okay. Cool. So the Page of Wands too, we saw the Ace of Wands, so he basically has the Ace of Wands here. So he's got the passion basically to start anew and to have those like initial conversations, but also to travel. You see the pyramids in the background here. So at your foundation now, you're ready to get back out there. And this could be due to basically like you resetting your mind, because all those terrible things that happened to you basically put you in a situation where you're like, it can't get any worse than this. So when you get to that like rock bottom level, then you at least you know your foundation is a solid. I just heard this like before I did this reading of some like some talk video or something. The guy's like, when I'm at rock bottom, at least I know I can't get any lower. My foundation I could build upon. So at least when you got to the bottom part here now, you know that you're building upon a solid foundation because it's all you at this point. There's no one else to mess with you. And there could have been a lot of like people trying to tell you how to be passionate in the past. And that could have been confusing you. And that's leaving now. What's in the recent past, Spirit? Besides all that kind of arguments and things like that. Recent past. Yeah, so the King of Cups. Notice the King of Cups here has got this like concrete slab in the middle of this stormy ocean, meaning you're able to find an emotional foundation in a sea of turmoil. So that's basically what you learn through this, is that you're able to like own your emotions while the whole world is basically blowing up around you, and you have like a no emotional base. You created that concrete block in the middle of the sea that you could sit upon. Don't forget that as you go forward, because it's easy for us to be like, to forget all that and, think that we're that person before all that happened. Especially when we deal with people that, just the sound of their voice, if it's like a parent or a relative or a friend from the past, and they kind of use those manipulation tricks. Maybe they don't even know what they're doing, but if they call you a certain way and you kind of go back to being that past person, that's why, for myself, and I always advise it for my clients, is that if that person's not doing anything for you anymore, let that relationship go. Because you just being polite to them is actually confusing your soul of who you are at this moment. Are you that teenager when you met them? Or that 20-year-old or 30-year-old, regardless? Are you back then? Or are you now? Because if you talk to this person the same way that you talked to them back then, you're going to it's going to be like tricking yourself. They're going to be like, well, what's new with you? Oh, same stuff, man. Do you really want to do that? All right, what's crowning right now? What is Spirit trying to say? So the crowning position for me in the Celtic Cross, if you have any messages, any questions regarding how I read, because every reader is different, but like how I see a Celtic Cross. I was having this conversation with someone recently where I read a certain way of the cross and how I interact that. Definitely shoot me a message. I'm not a lawyer. I don't bill you for messages or anything like that. But just go to the Mad Hermit Tarot page and you can send it through there. But if you're friends on my main page too, I'm not really particular. But I will start using that page more in the future as soon as it's able to go live and stuff. All right, what is crowning right now, Spirit? So the crowning card is basically your higher avatar self, because we're basically if you like put a mirror to a mirror and you see those different levels, that's how we are with our different dimensional beings. And so we have a higher being that's basically controlling this lower 3D state. Okay. And if our frequency is strong between those different connections, that's when we get those downloads. Okay, because we have to remember that the whole, and reason, if I go on a tangent, it's me that you need to hear this, is basically the frequency is who we are. So we're not like this meat suit, right? We're a frequency, and that's what goes on from life to lifetime. It's basically this energy configuration. And more that we strengthen it in this life, it actually helps us in future lives. So, like an example is like you see one of those like prodigy, like piano players or something like that. They had a great skill that they learned in their past life that stayed with them into their new life. They don't probably use it the same as they did, but that skill is still there. That's basically a metaphor for any emotional development that we have going forward. The time is not wasted. You may have a different name in a different life, but you're going to have a sense of self that is the same. And we've had that from going on from the past too. And that's why people connect with past lives. Or they realize that there's more than one life within even this life. Some people have gone through different jobs or different ways of living, different beings. And it's hard for them to explain to someone else who hasn't changed what it's like. But for you that has changed or has gone through that, that's basically like living a different life. You know, it's like waking up a different person. You've done that here, and when you die, it's the same way going forward. So why am I saying all this to you, Virgo? The reason why I'm saying this to you is that you've probably gone through an ego death recently, and you're probably wondering who you are as opposed to who you were. And that's okay. Just try not to go back to the security blanket of who you were, and try to incorporate the new who you want to be. Because once you hit rock bottom, you realize that it wasn't working for you. So don't go back and try to learn the same lessons. All right, what's crowning right now for Virgo? Thank you so much. Temperance, great. So temperance here, so the archangel right now, this is Archangel Michael. And so what's happening is basically he's taking the waters, and it's not a calm process, but he's basically, the emotional waters are being alchemized, meaning the feelings inside of you are being alchemized from what is underneath, which is his foot in the water, versus what is on the land, which is seen. So he's taking the waters from your subconscious into your conscious, meaning now you're taking those downloads and you're bringing them into your life. So that's the process of alchemy, where you're becoming that new person. And this is basically divinely driven because there's the angel here. But the angel's healing you up, and it's temperance, meaning you're being temperate. It's a quick pause. But the thing is to not stay in place. Once you are healed, you need to go forward into the new, which is this path that leads to the sun in the background here. It goes all the way up there to the sun. It's on this side. Okay, so heal up, learn your lesson, and now incorporate that going forward. And basically, it's you emotionally getting that fire back and giving people the love that they deserve, but also you understanding that you can emotionally be solvent and calm around chaos too, and the unknown. Choose your boundaries. All right, what is coming forward for Virgo? There's that Ace of Wands. Ooh, naughty. there's the Knight of Wands too, following it. Wow, you're getting out there in a good way. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but the Queen of Swords is underneath here. So what this is saying is, like, go ahead, get out there, follow your passion, but know your boundaries. As soon as someone starts acting out, you need to basically cut them out. That's the Queen of Swords. No, she's got her hand out here saying you can come closer, but the Sword of Truth is there too. So once the truth is shown, then she needs to basically get them out of the way if they're not worthy. There's also butterflies. Where is it? There's butterflies like right down here. So that's symbol of transformation. So you kind of gaining this this mental clarity on what you deserve and what you should have is here. And so as now passion comes in, that's going to be your test. So maybe you've been in a nunnery for a while or monastery or whatever, and now you're going to be like released back onto the world. And what this is saying is basically use those boundaries so you don't get hurt again. All right, self. What is self for Virgo? Strength of self. What do you have? Yeah, so the High Priestess here. So you have this emotional clarity within you, okay? So trust your intuition is what it's saying. And trust, you're going to get the warm and fuzzies when you love something. So having the warm and fuzzies versus like being like, oh, this is a strategic connection that could be very valuable to me. And, you don't want to go that way. You want to go basically with, what your heart is saying for you to do. Because, if it doesn't, it may not look great on paper, but it's something that you need to learn, okay? Not every relationship in our life is supposed to, get us into a mansion or something like that. Sometimes it's basically to teach us how to use our heart. And maybe that's what you need to learn a little bit more. Or to take the new heart out for a test spin, right? All right, what does Virgo not see coming, Spirit? Okay, what you don't see coming is that there's going to be people here trying to get your time, attention, and money here that don't deserve it. So notice he's got the red cloak up here, and this guy's got a red cloak. He's begging for money. He's not really a beggar. That's why this person gives the money, gives the 3 to the person that really deserves it. So it's going to be, very important for you in order to determine who deserves your time and attention, to give it out in the way that it should be given out, okay? Don't suffer fools, and don't throw your pearls at swine. So those things just come into my mind, those sayings, and, it could be something for you to write down sometimes when I channel that kind of stuff. All right, what's the advice for Virgo? 7 of Pentacles. Okay, so from the 6 to the 7, meaning that you're going to have to decide, like this person's thinking, he's gotten 1 pentacle off of this group here. He's been watching it grow for a while. They have to decide whether to make the choice, whether to stick it with what they're doing or to do something new. Usually this card points to doing something new or to investing your time and energy into something new. Because if you only got 1 pentacle that basically rolled at his feet right here, if one's only ready after all this time, then that's a tough bet. I see like really there's like this mopey energy behind too. And same thing with Pisces, and I understand it because both Pisces and Virgo have gotten their butts kicked pretty good in the last 3 years. So I know there's kind of like a tendency to like lament the past, and for some reason I was seeing some stuff, and maybe this is synchronicity too, where they're like, oh, the 90s were so great, some like history reel or something like that, and like, oh, it's this glorious time, the music was so good and stuff. And like, if you really like had your eyes open during the 90s, like certain parts of it, a lot of it was survival. It wasn't like some magical land of alternative goodness. There was a lot of darkness too, especially if you're thoroughly living the 90s. So, what I'm trying to say is, get the rose-colored glasses off about the past, because there's a balance in that past. And sometimes that past is worse than what we imagined or what we remember it to be. And we just kind of like block out those bad memories. So I'm not saying go into a deep dive of the failures of the past. What I'm saying is to measure that with those thoughts, and saying that there's a reason why we're here in the present and the future with this knowledge that we have now in order to create something new. Don't just be a rewind. What is the outcome for Virgo? I mean, the music was great and everything, but there's some parts of it that was terrible. The 90s. And I still probably wear the same clothes, I think. Flannel and stuff. Anyway. What's the outcome for Virgo? Ace of Swords. That's awesome. So that's victory. Okay? This is great. This is potential victory. Okay? So all the aces are potential, meaning that if you... this is all about the truth, right? And victory is basically if you stay true to yourself and you don't be quiet just because you think you can game on this and kind of get advantage, like money wise or something, by hanging out with these people that you don't really like anyways. It's going to backfire on you. And I'll tell you why it's also going to backfire too, is because this is a high karmic time right now, meaning that a lot of the things that we do, like if we make mistakes and we kind of like try to manipulate in a unfaithful way, to ourselves and our true self, it's going to be like instant karma, where it's going to come back and we're going to learn our lessons quicker. So it's better for you to basically, honesty is the best policy kind of way. And that doesn't mean you have to tell everybody everything. What it means is you have to be honest with yourself and not just do things because you think it's like it's an advantage, or if it's kind of like you're scheming or you're gaming. It's not a good time for that. But I do see two aces here. So you have the Ace of Wands too. So you have like all these new starts that are coming. So just remember your lessons. And underneath is the Ten of Cups here, or on the next card was the Ten of Cups. And then again, this Knight of Wands here. So you may have someone coming up to you that's like, for a short time, for a good time, not a long time kind of thing. But it could also be you. Maybe you need to be that person too. Get out there, Maybe you need to explore things, and get out into different areas. And to basically, follow your passion in your heart. Have the mind be kind of like that protective kind of, person to like knock out anything that doesn't deserve your time and attention, but get out there. All right, I'm not really feeling any need for all right, let me just do one clarification here. I don't want the Virgos to get upset with me that I haven't maybe clarify. I'm going to clarify the two aces. Because I know that Emperor energy, especially with a Virgo, and how, particular they can be. In a good way. I appreciate it as a Pisces. But same way, I know how forceful they can be. But what's that Ace of Wands? What does that mean? What is that all about in their future, Spirit? Thank you so much. Justice. And it's love, too. Okay, so justice and love mean that if you follow your passion, you're going to get what you deserve. And Spirit's going to set you up in a situation where you can do that. And there could be love involved, too. And if you're not romantic with anybody, it could be that you finally love yourself. But there could be a job that you love. There could be, a relationship that you love now. But it basically has to be guided by passion and not by, how should I say it? Not by routine, by passion. Why does it say Ace of Swords here, Spirit? Thank you so much. Three of Cups. And Six of Swords. Okay. So, what I'm seeing from this is, and what I'm interpreting this is basically, you're going to have like a really good time with friends and celebration if you actually do what you're happy. And that could be doing it alone, but you have to do what makes you happy. So on a Friday night, if all your friends call and they want to go out to a place or whatnot, and you don't like that place, you're just doing a favor for your friends, you're not going to have a good time. You're better off at following your passion and going to the movies alone, if that's really what you want to do that night. That basically the celebration with other people should be what you truly want to do. Or tell your friends, this is what I want to do. Okay? Speak up that way. But, yeah. You've taken enough of, like, everybody else's shit right here. You see how, like, the wounded warrior? And basically you've suppressed your passions for other people for too long. And now you need to open up your passions going forward. And when you do that, the Spirit actually puts it right back to you with aces. All right, that's Virgo. Sagittarius. All right. Sagittarius. All right. All right. I'm gonna get a new deck out here for Sagittarius. I'm gonna get the Hermetic deck. All right. While I'm getting this going, quick advertisement. Let's see. I am going to be in Torrington at Sanctuary Yoga on the 16th for their 15-year anniversary kind of session. So that's going to be great. I'm going to be doing $10 readings, which is a great deal because I still do the full length. I can't kind of shortchange, my readings or do a quick reading. It just doesn't work out that way. I talk too much. So that's a good way. If you want to check out Sanctuary Yoga in Torrington, check out the main street there. I need to get back to doing yoga, so I'm hoping this is kind of going to be my inspiration because I'm going to feel guilty going to the studio. So hopefully I'll start doing that again. I really need to connect. So yeah, so that's the 16th. So check that out. Heather's awesome, and all the yoga like programs there are great. I'm so happy I was on there for so long. My schedule got all messed up, and I just lost it. And I think that's in the morning. That's like 8:30 to like 11 or something like that. But details will be on my page for sure. All right, so now we are doing Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, what's going on with you? So Sagittarius is getting a big boost too. I heard from some astrologers going forward. It's going to be a good couple of months going forward. Totally drinking this coffee way too late. I'm going to be tired tomorrow. It's all good. Such a rebel. Drinking coffee after 8 o'clock. Rolling the dice. Alright, what is covering Sagittarius? No reversal is divinely inspired spirit, angels, ancestors, guides, and dimensional beings. Readings for Sagittarius for the month of May. What's going on, Sag? Princess of Cups, so you're chatty. Alright, chatty and flirtatious. That's awesome. That's great for spring. I don't know why I'm getting a lot of love vibes here with these readings, which is great. I mean, people are just tired of being all caught up in their winter lives and want to get out there again. And basically, this is cover energy. So you're going to want to feel like to flirt and start those initial conversations. Or if you're already in a connection, maybe renewing it in a certain way, bringing it back fresh. 3 cups underneath too, celebration. But again, another 5 of cups for these mutables. There's like the mope. It's like, and I'm immutable too, so it's kind of like we're mopey, like, oh, here we go, but we got to do it, you know. And at the same time, try to like motivate yourself to like be fresh again, because it's the best way to do it. I think over time you'll start to feel better, because a lot of the last few years, the woundings of the last few years, they'll start to fade more and more. You'll get that spring fever. But this is saying that, you know, you're going to feel a little bit more chatty and flirtatious and wanting to start things new. What's crossing right now? It's very childlike. Feel like a new person, a new child. Crossing. 5 of Swords. Okay. So, we saw this in the other reading too. Basically, it's you going out there, initiating conversation, and all of a sudden self-sabotaging it because you don't feel like you deserve it. And that it all turned to shit in the past. Excuse my language. But it's going to do that again. Okay? So don't automatically feel that way, basically. So the Swords is the card of the mind. So what the mind perceives is not always true. That's what you have to remember, is that, you know, I say it a lot, is that the mind is like a supercomputer challenging you with these thoughts of like insecurities or negativities. And that's in order for you to rise above it. It's not to torture yourself. It's to say, do you want to really think this, or do you want to battle me and actually have me work for you and you controlling your mind? Because you have to realize that you are not your thoughts. You know, that's like an important thing to remember, especially when you have a lot of thoughts going in your head and you're an overthinker and you take things from all different angles and you feel guilty because you thought it. That's not you. That's your mind actually like a slideshow giving you these things. Say, what do you think about this? How does this make you feel? And sometimes our minds can be very, how do you say it? Not devilish, but like trickster-like, you know, and kind of like try to mess with you on purpose, you know, giving you weird thoughts and stuff. So when it does that, basically zone in on that. Don't just suppress it. You know, what this is saying right here is that you need to hold your childlike innocence and realize you can still be that child, but not the old child that was, you know, had issues. Or when I say child, I mean like, you know, in the past, youthful, you know. We all have that inner child. It's basically a metaphor for our vulnerable selves. And our vulnerable self in the past, that when we were vulnerable and we got smacked down, basically our mind's going to be showing those images. And what we need to do is actually embrace that smackdown, that issue. Hopefully it wasn't violence, but whatever it was, embrace it and say, that's what made me who I am today. And, the good and the bad. And that's what we're here for, is actually, every emotion is exquisite for a spiritual being having a physical existence. Because we are spiritual beings having a physical existence. So we have to see ourselves that way so we don't get locked in the solid physicalness. Because that's going to fade away, just like as our body fades away. All that's left is the spirit and the frequency, okay? And we have to understand that, because I think a lot of us, and many of you have probably watching this video, have lived many different lives. And you have to realize that that is the metaphor. That's how it goes from life to life to life, going forward. Once energy is created, it can never be destroyed. That's a principle, right? That doesn't mean the energy can have a different way of thinking, but you're still that energy, okay? And who wants to remember all those lives anyways? That's why we get rid of it for now. Some people say it's the Gnostics, or what is it? The Gnostics say it's the archons that trap us in that white light. We shouldn't follow the white light, because then it zaps our memories and puts us back in this prison planet. That's a great story, and I'm not sure if it's true or not. I'm not sure whether I should follow the white light at this point. But you have to remember that you have total control, because you are spirit. I mean, you could play the games inside of your mind and pretend that you are some small soul that gets trapped by, archons, dealing with white lights and stuff like that. And you could play that game. That's how cool this universe is. They'll let you play that game. But if you don't want to play that game, then you need to rise above it. Anybody else control their dreams, and all of a sudden they create these big fists, or they're fighting someone, they can run and fly and stuff like that. It's basically you're using your mind to expand your consciousness, which creates a new reality for you. Okay? And that's what the Five of Swords is doing here, is basically saying, okay, I'm going to give you a challenge. Can you expand your mind enough to rise above it and still hold that innocence? Be innocent again. I don't even know what else. It's a big ramble for Sagittarius. Long story short, if you get those thoughts that, that don't connect to you anymore, they're just a challenge, just a test. It's not you. All right, what is beneath for Sagittarius? Six of Swords. So that's great. So the foundation basically is Spirit is testing that mental clarity that you have. So we saw it in the past reading too. As soon as things get good again, you're going to get thrown into the old challenges just to see if you were able to pass. So a lot of the signs here, it's a theme. I'm noticing a theme where, we're kind of out of the woods, but we're not generally out of the woods. There could be that last boss, or that last, memory or something just challenging us one more time and really pulling at those heartstrings. Okay? It's okay if you run into somebody at the store and all of a sudden your heart drops, and you just you don't know how to handle the situation. Sometimes it's good just to get through it, without doing anything, saying hi and just keep on going. Because, feeling that energy and how that person felt to you doesn't mean that you have to flip out, or you have to claim justice or tell them off or anything like that. It just means you need to experience that energy for one last time and walk away from it. That's all you need to do. The tests that Spirit gives us are so... a lot of people want to say that, I have to become a great tarot reader and do all this, but generally what Spirit is just asking me to do is just to try. That's the hardest thing, it's actually try. Give it a shot, and then Spirit's going to support you when doing it. Alright, what is in the recent past for Sagittarius? Nine of Swords. So the never-ending nightmare. So this is like, this is all in your mind. Okay. There's that Beck song. It's from Sea Change. It's all in your mind. I forgot what song it is. I wanted it to be fine. So basically, the nightmare is past. Okay. So as you go forward, you're gaining more control over your mind. But just realize you're going to get those like creeping thoughts that you're going to challenge you that you have to rise above. But the worst of it is over. Okay. The Nine of Swords is in the past. That's great. What's crowning right now for Sagittarius Spirit? Thank you so much. Three of Pentacles. Okay, much like the other reading that had the Three of Pentacles at the end there, I think it was the Virgo reading. Basically, your Three of Pentacles is saying, and your higher self is telling you, keep building on what you have right now, which is a solid mindset. And you have like this like youthful energy to explore. Don't say, oh, well, no one liked me in the past, or it didn't work out the way I want. Who cares what other people think? At this point, you're just doing it for your own self. I posted something on the Mad Hermit page recently, which is that there's this energetic field. Of course, we are. So our duality is. Oh, that card's dropping. Okay. So basically, what that was saying is that there's this energy field, right? So the thing about the universe is duality, and I don't know why I need to say this, but I just need to say it. So Sagittarius, kind of like it could mean something for you or anybody who's watching. So basically, the universe, what I'm discovering lately, is about duality, meaning that we are a single being, but we're also at the same time the whole energetic field, because we are all, like, even the air, everything's connected, right? They say that we're all connected to everybody, and everybody's like a reflection of us in some sort of way. So that's duality in the sense that there's two things happening at once that we need to understand, okay? So going forward, the reason why I'm saying this is that you need to understand that you are moving forward, but at the same time, you are part of your past. It's kind of like a corkscrew going upwards, meaning that you're going to run into your past issues to relieve that as you move forward, because you're actually showing that advancement that you've made. And you're building upon that with the Three of Pentacles, meaning you're rebuilding like your soul, like church. So like your soul environment is actually being transformed as you are in your mind changing yourself from being someone who can actually be happy again with like a youthful energy without the memories of the past. Okay? I don't know what I'm I'm kind of like just going with what I'm talking about right now, so hopefully it's making sense to you. I'm kind of losing my train of thought. If it comes back to me, I'll keep going. But Sagittarius, basically your mind is going to play tricks on you in order to disrupt your youthful spirit, and basically you need to know that, to forgive the past and to know that you are a new person going forward, and your mind is actually, your thoughts are not you, and you can rise above them. What's in the near future for Sagittarius Spirit? Thank you so much. The Emperor. Good, that's the second Emperor we've seen. So we're seeing that there's like, for the mutable signs so far, is that there's one last challenge coming at us, but we have like gone to such a level of like conviction in moving forward that we cannot be stopped. And that basically, we are going to go out and get it, which is great. That's great to see. So just realize you're going to have one last test of your mind, to try to self-sabotage you. But just realize you're not your old self anyways. So those old tricks shouldn't work. And you're just not going to feel it. You're not going to feel the same if you go for it. What's self for Sagittarius Spirit? What's self? The Lovers. Good. So I think you're choosing to love yourself again and to start over. And that's great. The Lovers is a choice card. It's a divinely inspired card, okay? Meaning that traditionally in the Rider-Waite deck, there's another angel there. I believe it's, is it Raphael? I believe it's Raphael. And so what's happening is basically uniting the two entities within us, which is like the male and the female, and it's basically uniting both the feminine and the masculine together, which is not, we're not talking about genitalia here. We're talking about like the emotional part versus the actual physical part. And so your strength now is becoming more of a solid being that can go out and get something, but at the same time control your emotions while you do it. That's very valuable. And the wanting to explore that and do that. So don't let your mind tell you that you're just not good enough, or it didn't work out in the past, because you're a new person now. All right, what's the environment spirit? What is Sagittarius not see coming? Okay, Princess of Wands. Could be some traveling in your future. There could be some and it doesn't have to be like major world globe traveling. It could just be like the town next door, places you haven't been before, or you seeing old places in a new way. Maybe it's a part of town that you never explored before, things like that. But basically the Princess of Wands with the Princess of Cups here. So there's 2 page cards, which is kind of youthful energy, youthful passion, and youthful love. That's really good. Like starting this new cycle. And another astrology thing that I've been listening to lately is basically what year is this kind of like, what is this astrological cycle mimicking? And think about how you were from I think it's 89 to 91, 92, like kind of that cycle of your life. Think about that for a second. That's kind of like the themes that are going to reemerge. Not like the same places, but what were the emotions? Did I find new love, or did I find ways of expressing myself, or was it a great social time, or was it a time of not being social and just me reconnecting with myself? Identify that time period between some 88 to 91 kind of era, and what were you doing? What were you feeling? What was happening? That's for everyone too, not just Sagittarius. All right, what is the advice? Wheel of Fortune. I got 2 cards here. I'm going to take both of them. So the Wheel of Fortune, which is basically fate spinning the wheel, meaning that that could be like a great victory, unexpected, and it's a major arcana, and the High Priestess here underneath. So I think that basically what the High Priestess is saying, like the inner knowledge, so the inner workings, is you're going to basically change the way that you feel about a situation and yourself, and you're going to approach life differently. That old you is definitely dead. There's this new need for passion and beginning and seeing things in a different way. What's the outcome for Sagittarius? Thank you so much. Ace of Wands. Awesome. So this, again, it's a very sexual card too, by the way. But it's also new beginnings, and it's inspired new beginnings. Okay? You see the flame coming out the wand here, and this card is basically the flame is the passion. The wand is like the branch that, kind of like taking the clipping from the tree and kind of reigniting that and kind of bringing up a new tree from this seed of passion. Okay? So that's very good for the outcome. With the Emperor there too. The Devil's underneath. So the one thing I would advise too, because the Devil and these Swords cards go really well together, especially the Five of Swords, which basically is toxicity. So I would say that the toxicity... Now, the Devil's also a highly passionate card too. So you're going to want to... And it's a card of the earth, meaning the physical realm. So of this earth, wanting to really reignite passion for pleasure. But what was, when you reignited that passion for pleasure, what was the toxicity that came with it? Did you lose your mind in a certain way when those pleasures were kind of like being introduced to you? And it could be a replay of the challenges that you faced from like 88 to 91 during that era of your life. You know, was there a lot of like passion and new beginnings and you self-sabotaging it with some sort of like toxicity? So what this is saying is basically that's the key, right? So the key is that you can actually enjoy these things again. So you can actually relive that cycle. So we talked about duality, is that we experiencing new things with old patterns. So we may be reliving kind of like the framework of 88 to 91, if we're of that age, right, where we can actually be conscious during that time. But for those people that aren't that old, or, you know, we're very young at that point, the theme is still the same, where there is like new passionate beginnings, you know, youthful love, youthful passion, and then it being like sabotaged in the past, you know, something that went wrong. And what you're going to be able to do now is actually see that for the toxic part of it is, and actually challenge the mind, okay, and rise above that, okay. All right, let me just, I want to confirm. I just want to look at the Emperor and the Ace of Wands there. Those two. Sagittarius. And again, anybody who hasn't gotten a reading from me, like a video reading, you can message me and I'll set that up. It's really not that big of a deal, and it's a quick reading. I like to do the first one free so you understand my style, and if you dig it, then, you know, we can talk about the future and stuff like that. And I'm very reasonable with all that stuff. My main goal here is to help people. It's not to become some like super YouTube guru money person. I don't know. If it comes anyway, that's awesome, but that's not what I'm going for. Alright, so long story short is go to the Matterhorn Material page, join that page, send me a message, send other people too, and if you do that, then I'll give you another free reading. That's what I want to give you, something like that. I'm just looking to get as many people into that space as possible so I can help more people, and kind of, especially with this transition. So we've going from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and like all our timelines are changing. So if you notice the society is getting different and people are getting different, and what we've done as a society, you know, what we do on the weekends and how we travel and all those things are changing, you're right. It is changing. But that's why people like, you know, me are being called in order to kind of, because we've always been on the fringe and actually thought about these things throughout the years and had to experience that. So we're kind of bringing up those questions and normalizing this, you know, this situation, because it's not just that society is evolving, but also time and space is evolving, which is pretty freaky too. Like the way that like time moves for us, okay? The way that, you know, we blink and we're, you know, in the kitchen and all of a sudden we're in the living room and stuff like that. That's not a coincidence, you know, that's not like something that's not really happening, okay? Those things are happening, and there's a purpose for it. Because we're always meant to evolve. This actual life and how we live it is also evolving. Alright, anyway. Why is the Emperor here, Spirit? Thank you so much. 4 of Wands. That's awesome. So again, the passion is really, the passion is being solidified, meaning that, you know, when you follow what's in your heart and your desires without your mind, you know, effing it up, you know, without your mind kind of, you know, holding you back, and you actually looking at your mind as just a, you know, just a person, or not person, but like a thing trying to protect you. And sometimes when we get to new patterns, the mind's like, well, that's not what's going to make us safe. It's the predictable things that we've gone through. And this new kind of way of thinking is different, and it's scary. And so what you need to do is actually talk to your mind. You need to actually, you know, I'm trying to think of the word, swayed, or no. I don't know, convince your mind basically that you are safe and that it is fine, and take those steps. You know, I mean, you need to seriously have that conversation in order to, or that meditation about that, because that's where that fear is coming from, and that self-sabotaging behaviors, because you just haven't done it before, and your mind's trying to protect you, believe it or not, but it's challenging you in that. All right, why is the Ace of Wands here for the outcome spirit? Thank you so much. King of Swords. You get the passion when you control your mind. So the King of Swords is the victor. He controls the mind, just like the Emperor does. Very Emperor-like. Notice that they both have, can't see it in this picture, but the Emperor and the Rider-Waite, and this King of Swords the same way. It's got the armor here. So this is why I love tarot, and I love esoteric or occult ways of learning things, is that imagery is just as important as the definition of the card, because there's more to it. There's more in that language that we just can't express with words as well. So think of it as having a thick armor, which is the mind, but the mind is actually working for you, meaning it's not self-sabotaging you, it's actually protecting you from anything coming your way. And that's when you turn your mind to work for you as opposed to haunting you. Okay? So that's going to be the key for you, Sagittarius. In order to actually, I'm seeing a glow up here, meaning that you're going to become more popular and things are going to get more passionate for you, and you're going to really second guess that. Because in the past, when you got that kind of energy, you messed it up. You went toxic in some sort of way, which is really easy to do, especially in that old world situation where, you know, there was a lot of toxicity on purpose. So going forward, basically, you need to control your mind in order to actually really appreciate that. Okay? But when you do that, all the good elements are there for you to really respond in an awesome way and be childlike again and get all that newness, which we really love. All right, let's go to Gemini. That's the last one. The mutables. And then tomorrow we'll do the fixed signs, which are Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. And wait, so this is why I'm bad with the math, and I try to create like ways of doing it. So Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. What am I missing? What's the other one? Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. Where's the fun? Oh, what's Taurus? Yeah, Taurus. Happy birthday for all those Tauruses out there. All right, let's get to Gemini. Gemini, just because I forgot you on the thing, I'm going to actually draw an oracle card for you, because I'm going to show you guys how I do oracle cards really quick. These are actually kind of fun. There are images on here, and basically when I do like an oracle card reading, it's kind of like getting the vibe of what's going on, and it's kind of a general kind of footnote to the reading. It's not the reading itself, but they can actually be very revealing. So I just want to let's get one for Gemini going forward. Thank you so much, Spirit Angels, guys, dimensional beings, no reversals, divinely inspired. Let's get an oracle card for Gemini. What's going on with Gemini right now? I have my Mars in Gemini, and like I said in the beginning of this video, Uranus has left Taurus, which is like blowing up the foundations in our lives, like the house and home kind of situations. So whatever Taurus is in your chart, or any fixed sign in your chart, was really taking a hit on purpose in order to kind of like create the new. All right. So now that Uranus has gone into Gemini, we're going to see more of a focus on the mind and actually communication, and how that's revolutionary going to change. So, I think the last time this was happening, I think they said it was like 40s, like the early 40s, which basically saw great like advances in how we communicate. I think like the telegraph and certain things like that. And I know that there was communication, possibly the telegraph before that, but they said there was like early computers and things of that nature, or more modern kind of situations starting in that time period. But also with this Gemini and Uranus actually going forward, not just repeating the past, is that we may see revelations in like news that comes out, especially this month. Watch out for things that we didn't know in the recent past that come out like explosively, which we've been having a lot lately, but expect more. But that's going to change the way that we think about like our existence and that we're going to think about. So they talk about, I'm not talking about like, the alien experience and all that stuff. I think it's more like interdimensional people, or like there's different lands outside the ice wall and stuff like that. But that's another conversation. But basically, a lot of that information on what we think is our reality is going to come out soon and actually change the way that we think about how we live. All right, spirit, angels, and guys, dimensional beings. So what do we got here? Powerful personal growth. Powerful personal growth for Gemini. Glamour, intrigue, and drama underneath. It's like the Mario Antoinette. Marie Antoinette. So basically, you are going to get into situations going forward, at least this is the energy of powerful personal growth, which is the Uranus in your sign actually, where there's going to be like, Gemini is of the mind, so you're going to expand your social networks. You're also going to expand the way that you think and just your overall kind of clarity and stability through those cards. That's what I'm seeing. That's great. You may start feeling that already when you start to feel more confident, especially in what your thoughts are and manifestation too. This is like a time now where, be careful what you think about. Be careful what you obsess on, because Spirit's going to throw it in your face and see if you really want it. All right, Gemini, last one. This is the last reading for tonight. I have no idea what time it is. Let's see. Angels, ancestors, guides, and dimensional beings, thank you so much. Streams for Gemini, only the best for Gemini and everybody involved. Thank you so much. No reversal on divine side to Celtic cross for Gemini. What's covering Gemini at this time? Gemini. What's covering? The Hermit. Okay? So you've been through it, basically. You've already had that kind of ego deconstruction where you've had that kind of it's that moment in the cave where you have to face yourself. So there's always that, I know they did like the never-ending story, because sometimes they use the Star Wars one. I don't want to talk about Star Wars tonight. So never-ending story, was it Atreyu goes into the cave and he faces the boy and he realizes that they are the same being having the different experience. So basically, as the hermit, that person does that, has the dark night of the soul, and gets that knowledge and brings it out to the world in the lantern. The lantern has the star, which is hope, meaning that the hermit's gone into the cave, faced his or her worst fears, realized that they are both their creation and their destruction, realizing the duality of life, meaning the endings and beginnings, and the newness that must come from the ego death to create the new ego that will eventually die again as well. So you kind of like scramble yourself, which doesn't feel good, but then it reforms again. Okay? So that's kind of how life works, where it's kind of like a shake-up in order to like recreate yourself. And that's what you've gone through. And as the hermit, you're now healing from that process. This is actually a Gemini card underneath, which is the Seven of Swords. Again, a lot of people think like the whole like sexy, and I don't mean like passionate sexy. I mean in like a very hip like 90s professor would say. The sexy definition of this card is the deception, but it's also actually in the Rider-Waite deck. It's actually a sun card, meaning it has a bright background, which just means it's actually a new way of you thinking, like thinking in more of a stealth way, like keeping your ideas to yourself and actually working in strategy. He steals the swords in the middle of the night from the army because he can't fight them head up. All right, so what he does is he takes all their weapons so that he can be victorious. Okay? That's kind of like what you're doing. You're finding different ways of doing things at this time because of that ego death that you've gone through. You're very agile because you just don't give a shit anymore, which is awesome. All right, what is crossing Gemini right now? Crossing energy. 8 of Swords. So the crossing energy is often our challenge. So the 8 of Swords, she's bound up here with all of her thoughts, right? The swords here. So again, in a lot of the themes that we're seeing is that the mind is going to challenge us one last time and see if we really believe in what our new transformation is, or if we're just faking it. And we're going to go back to our security blankets. So what this is saying is basically go deep within in your challenge, but just realize that those thoughts are not real. Those swords that hold us there are not real. She's actually bound by like toilet paper here. It's not even like real ropes. She can easily rub up against one of the swords and just leave. And there's a path there leading up to a castle. So what this is saying, this metaphor is saying to you is don't get buried in your thoughts. Your thoughts are just challenges. They're not you. Like I said in the Sagittarius reading. Check that out. If you're just like getting to this point to Gemini, check out the Sagittarius reading where it was like a lot of like mind kind of games being played in order to see if you really have control over your mind. What's beneath for Gemini? Thank you so much, Spirit. It's for the month of May. All right, so you built your solid foundation. You've done hard work here. 9 of Pentacles, meaning that you are independently secure in your ability in this grounded physical world in order to, succeed. Okay, and you've set that foundation. So now the only thing that can take you out is your mind, which is the 9 of Swords here. Realize too that she's in a comfortable bed here. She's all upset, but she's got nice blankets here. It's not like she's on the side of the street or something or underneath a bridge. All these swords are in her mind. Okay, so what she needs to realize is basically the mind is just trying to protect her. But she needs to have a conversation with the mind saying, listen, you work for me. It's in the recent past. Do it nicely, of course, because, you want to interact with yourself in the ways that you want to be treated. It's all a reflection. It's very mirror-like. Set the tone. What's in the recent past for Gemini? Hangman. New perspective. So you've gotten a new perspective, and that goes really well with the hermit being in the cave, is that you realize there's a different way of doing things. There's a different way of thinking about life. There's a different way of thinking about yourself. And that's what you need to basically hold on to going forward. There's a new beginning, the Fool here. And the Magician is that you're in control. Okay? You are the one that's actually in control at this situation. You're still alive. You're still breathing. You're still able to reflect upon this world. And just realize each step that you take or each action that you make or each thought that you have should be a dedication into the new direction. This is not a good time to go down memory lane. It's not a good time to kind of like wish for the past because you're going to rot there. What's crowning right now for Gemini? 9 of Wands. So we got the Hermit, which is the 9. So we got 9 of Wands, the Hermit, which is a 9, to the 9 of Pentacles right underneath it. So this is explosive change. You've had enough. You've been the wounded warrior for a long time with your passions, and now you're ready to explode forward. Don't entertain the past or how you were. Even the successful parts of you in the past, they've got to be transformed into the new. You can't just go back on the reliable. The world is different. So even if you play the old games, it's not going to work. It's a new environment. It's a new game. You have to be new with it. Gemini is really good for being modern, right? You're being forced to actually be modern again. What is in the near future, Spirit? Thank you so much. Okay. These are all the mind. So I'm not saying that there's like this, dramatic like garbage event happening. It's actually you creating it within your mind. It's the last challenge. This is the last test. Another 9, by the way, too. So the 9s are about, you're getting close to completion. It's actually you learning the lesson of the mind. How the mind can be negative and drag you down, or you can see the negativity of the mind and rise above it and actually console the mind. You're being challenged with that in the near future. Is to actually, your disappointments in what's happening right now, be patient for the universe to catch up to you. And don't let your mind sink back and say, we need to do our old patterns just to keep things moving. That's not the answer. If you don't know what to do, then be in stillness and wait for your synchronicities. What does that mean? Be in stillness and wait for signs. You need to open up your channels. You need to calm that. And I always say there's like a rod going all the way down, and when it starts to shake violently, we lose our antenna, our connection to the higher realms. So we need to calm ourselves. So when our mind starts freaking out, we need to start doing our chanting and our meditations. Om Gom Ganapataya Namo. Do it over and over again. Our chantings, our way of like debilitating, bringing stability back to our lives. Okay, and that could just be like listening for sounds. Writing down sounds, just not thinking. So you need to clear your mind. Give it a rest. What is self? What is the strength? So the strength is basically this person right here is actually, they are working at this new position, this new job, this new way of like living. They're actually like a child, which is a new like apprentice. So you're new at this and you need to repeat it over and over again to get it better. But don't lose faith in what you're doing and revert back to the old stuff. It's actually learning your trade, learning how to get it right by more and more practice. Again, the 7 of Swords here is underneath. So it's basically doing things differently. Doing things like, you can't, like I said, he steals the swords from the army in the middle of the night. That's like a very kind of like new way of thinking, like a strategic, a different way of approaching an issue. That's what you need to do. Don't do what your old self would have done. What do they not see coming, Spirit? There could be a decision on how you spend your time and your resources. Because I see you kind of like working at something new. Because there could be a new job, but there also could be you in the future kind of weighing in what you're doing right now and actually not being satisfied with it and wanting something more. And that's okay. But the thing is that don't jump just because you feel dissatisfied. Think about maybe starting something new, maybe, dipping your toe in the new water before you fully leave. Okay, and that's a strategic way of, giving safety to your mind. So your mind is like, whoa, what are we doing here? Why are you, you can't just quit your job and, I'm going to make you feel really paranoid about it. It's like saying to your mind, we're going to try a little bit, like maybe on the weekends or something like that, to actually have a different experience. Or maybe just get the resume built up to look for new things. Or maybe to try like light dating or talking or something like that. Not going full in, but actually realizing that you're dissatisfied now. And how can we mix that up? Oh, another thing to mention too. This month has three moons, and that's why the blue moon is in the middle. This is once in a blue moon. So we have a lot of different like emotional reconstruction during this time. So if something doesn't happen this month, it's okay. It's kind of like your insides are reforming through these moons. And it ends with like a Capricorn moon too, which is just a total restructuring of like the way that you feel. All right, what is the advice for Gemini? King of Wands. Control your emotions. Control your emotions. You are your passions, okay? They are going to be like lit up, and you're wanting to go out there and kind of like start new things and like be with new people and all that stuff, and kind of like have it your way. I always say this is kind of like the Burger King. It looks just like, well, I don't say, actually Steve's loved tarot. I'll give props to him. That's where I got that from. He's really fun to watch. He's great. But that King of Wands is basically very kind of like, the advice is to like be like the really good leader that kind of like gets people to passionately follow them because they're just so cool. You know, like cool, but also like very emotionally receptive. You know, that's like that coach or that mentor in your life that was able to bring out your passions without being like a disciplinarian, but actually to play upon your motivation that you wanted to be good for them. You know, I'm not sure why I have to say that as your advice, but basically that is your advice, is to basically be that role model, and that you will attract those good things through spirit because you are like a happy, positive person. So if those thoughts in your mind turn to worry, realize that that's going to affect your appearance, and that's why you need to get rid of those things and actually replace them with more passionate thoughts. And upbeat, the sun's shining, that's the sun card. Think about the sun and how it shines. How can you be upset and depressed on a sunny day kind of deal? Be the sunny day for other people and yourself. All right, what's the outcome for Gemini? And that is the Knight of Pentacles. So, your strength is that you're going to keep trying and working at this. Whatever it is that you are now kind of like introducing yourself to, whether it's... So, the way that I can get to what you can translate what I'm talking to you about right now is that whatever in your life is making you paranoid and unsatisfied, that's why you need to try something new, a new approach on it. Like, don't go back to the old. Try something new. And as you keep working on that, you build up your skills in a solid way, like the Knight of Pentacles does. He's not running off here. He's very solidly kind of like planting these fields slowly. He's the slowest moving knight in the deck, but he's also the most thorough. And so basically that's what you need to do, is shore up your base about what you want to do, whether it's like learning that new skill before you venture out, practicing it. Take the time now to reform yourself this month and to emotionally motivate yourself. But be positive while you do it. Okay, and the King of Pentacles is underneath here. So this is basically saying that you're moving into like a more solid territory, but you have to use your mind in order to expand yourself in a way that you haven't before. And when you start to do that and actually move in a different way, and more of like not telling people your next move and stuff like that, because you don't want to get that negative energy from people saying, well, that's not you, or you never did it like that in the past. So even like those small comments, those can really mess up your energy. So it's better not even to talk to anybody about it. And if you are keeping old friends that basically aren't serving in a certain way, don't let them infect you with your old self, because that's going to actually make you more paranoid, because you're going to do things that your old self would consider to be unsafe. I mean, you're like going to run down like a dark alley in the middle of the night or anything like that, but like unsafe emotionally, or it just doesn't seem right, because it's not the tried and true way. Okay. All right, Gemini. I think that's good, because I did the intro card. Let me just get one more. Just get like one clarifier on this like Nine of Swords. So what is that all about? This worry. One on the Nine of Swords and one on the Knight of Pentacles. Okay. And then we'll wrap it up. I'll also post this on the Mad Hermit Tarot YouTube page, and it'll go on the other page too. And again, we'll do the fixed signs tomorrow. Did I ever figure out what the other fixed sign was? It was Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo. Earth. Taurus. Okay, I did figure that out. I said Taurus last. Oh, I keep on forgetting that. Odd. Alright, what is the Knight of Swords Spirit? Why is it here? Thank you so much. No reversals, divine inspired clarification. Thank you so much. Eight of Pentacles, which is the Eight of Pentacles that we saw with the So this confirms to me when I see this Eight of Pentacles, you trying something new and the new skill here, your mind is going to be like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing something new? We already know what to do. Okay, so you need to like basically convince your mind and yourself that you're not going to throw the baby away with the bathwater kind of thing. You're not getting rid of, your way of making the money to keep the lights on or anything like that, but you are going to explore new ways because you need to expand. Especially in this new environment, you need to learn new skills or new positioning of yourself and be ready for any type of revolutionary change, especially when it comes to technology and the way that you work. AI is really big. So I would say for any Geminis that are watching this, like, get into the new technology. Get your, how is that going to affect your job? Whether you could be, working with your hands, or you can work in the medical field, or you can work in real estate, any of those types of things. There is something revolutionary about the way that we use technology that is going to affect your job. Get on top of it now. I would definitely start to think about how AI can be used. Not the predictive software of it, but even like going through documents and pulling out things and, saving yourself time, but at the same time adding your personal touch. Maybe that's what you need to learn, is to use AI, but at the same time make yourself not sound like a robot, that you basically, use Cliff Notes. Yeah. All right, let's get that Knight of Pentacles. Thank you so much, Spirit. What's the outcome of Knight of Pentacles? What does that mean? Ten of Wands. Okay. This is you discovering how to not let your passion overwhelm you to the point where you're still patient enough to take your time. Because a lot of times people, they'll rise and fall really quickly, where, it's almost like a coffee rush, and we want to do this, and all of a sudden we're like, I'm out of gas, and then everything fades away. So with the Ten of Wands here is, don't let that, find out what you truly love, where you don't for instance, I do tarot almost every day, right? But there are some days where I won't do it for a day or two, and that's okay, because what it is basically, I know it's there, the passion's there. I'm not going to flip out about it or become obsessive. Well, I am kind of obsessive. I think negatively obsessive about it, where it becomes a burden. So anything that becomes a burden in your life, you need to let that go. You need to come up with a way of not let it go for good, but find a way of putting pauses on things without losing it, right? Where you can control the emotion of it, where it's just going to be there. And how do we rise above that? We set up routines that are flexible. You have to be the Knight of Pentacles in this point. Give yourself the grace. As a Gemini, it's kind of we got to learn this, and if we don't learn it the right way at the right time, then it's gone forever. That's not true. What you need to do is do the opposite of your sign, which is teach yourself patience. We're not just learning all these things and being half good at them. It's kind of focusing in on the three things that we need to learn. If we get tired of this one, then go to the other two, but then come back to it, kind of thing. Find a way where you can actually explore different ways of what you're kind of moving into without burning yourself out. Or realizing if you don't have the passion for just that one day, it's going to come back the next day if it's really meant to be. And to give yourself that grace. It's kind of like when we say in love, where people have to give out their love, but then also get love back, or they'll be totally crashed out. Basically, that's what you need to do with what you're doing passionately. It's give the passion out, but then get the passion back from it. Let it build back up to then go back to it. Not be discouraged if you don't feel like doing it that day. All right, I think I'm done for today with these signs. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and whether it's for entertainment or whatnot. If you want me to do love readings, maybe I'll mix that up in the middle of the month. I'll just specifically about singles or love life or something like that. I think that would be fun. So look out for those in the middle of May. And for those other signs, check your charts, and they'll be coming out this week. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great night. Bye.